One single seed, something you can buy in a gas station bag for $2, show up in heart health research, dermatology journals, and mental health studies, all at the same time. A 2020 meta-analysis on plant sterols found that regular intake was linked to an average LDL cholesterol reduction of around 8 to 10%. The sunflower seed keeps showing up everywhere. Cardiology, skincare, psychiatry. That's unusual. And the reason isn't magic, it's chemistry. The sunflower, Helianthus annuus, belongs to the Asteraceae family, the daisy family. What looks like one flower is actually thousands of tiny individual flowers packed into a single head, each one capable of producing a seed. Sunflowers were domesticated in North America, roughly 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, likely in the region that is now the eastern United States, by indigenous peoples who cultivated it as a food crop long before European contact. Seeds were ground into meal, pressed for oil, and used as dye. The plant later traveled to Europe in the 16th century as a curiosity, but its real transformation happened in Russia in the 1800s. The Russian Orthodox Church restricted the use of most oils during Lent, but sunflower oil wasn't on the banned list, since it wasn't a traditional European crop. That loophole triggered a massive breeding effort. Russian agronomists, most notably Vasily Pustovoit in the early 20th century, selectively bred sunflowers for oil content, pushing seed oil concentration from around 28% to over 50%. That breeding program is the direct ancestor of nearly every high-oil sunflower variety grown today. The research, multiple clinical trials and meta-analyses conducted since the early 2000s, compiled in reviews published in journals like the European Journal of Nutrition, have confirmed that diets enriched with plant sterols, at doses achievable through foods like sunflower seeds combined with fortified products, reduce LDL cholesterol by roughly 8 to 10% over several weeks. This is why cardiologists frequently recommend sterol-rich foods as an adjunct, not a replacement, for standard cholesterol management. The relevant compound here is vitamin E, specifically alpha-tocopherol, and sunflower seeds are one of the most concentrated dietary sources of it. A single ounce, about a small handful, provides a substantial percentage of the daily recommended intake, more than almonds, more than most nuts gram for gram. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant. It embeds itself in cell membranes, including skin cells, and neutralizes oxidative damage caused by UV exposure and environmental stress. Sunflower oil itself has a documented history in skincare that predates modern cosmetics. In several regions of South Asia and Eastern Europe, cold-pressed sunflower oil has been used topically for generations as a basic skin emollient. More recently, that traditional use has been tested in a clinical context. Studies conducted in the 2000s on topical sunflower seed oil, including research published in Pediatric Dermatology, examined its use on preterm infants in neonatal intensive care units. Researchers found that topical sunflower oil helped maintain skin barrier integrity and was associated with a reduced risk of hospital-acquired infection in low birth weight infants, compared to no treatment. Harvesting and sourcing commercial sunflower seed harvest in the Northern Hemisphere typically runs from September through October, once the flower heads droop and the back of the head turns brown. A visual cue growers use to time harvest before birds strip the seeds. The largest producers today are Russia, Ukraine, and Argentina, which together account for the majority of global sunflower oil output. For home use, cold-pressed, unrefined sunflower oil retains more vitamin E than refined versions, since heat processing degrades tocopherols. Market-demand sunflower oil is now one of the top 4 vegetable oils by global production volume, alongside palm, soybean, and canola oil, and demand for cold-pressed and organic sunflower oil specifically has grown in the skincare and natural cosmetics sector over the past decade, as formulators look for lighter, less comedogenic alternatives to heavier plant oils. Sunflower seeds are a notably dense source of magnesium. A quarter-cup serving provides a substantial portion of the daily requirement. Magnesium is a cofactor in several enzymatic reactions involved in neurotransmitter regulation, including pathways connected to serotonin and GABA signaling. Low magnesium status has been observed in several population studies to correlate with higher rates of depressive symptoms, though correlation studies alone can't establish cause and effect. The stronger piece of evidence comes from an interventional study. Research published in 2017 in the journal PLOS One, led by Tarleton and colleagues, tested magnesium chloride supplementation in adults with mild to moderate depression and found a statistically significant reduction in depression and anxiety symptom scores after 6 weeks, with effects appearing within as little as 2 weeks in many participants. That study didn't use sunflower seeds specifically. It used a magnesium supplement, but it demonstrates that magnesium repletion itself can move the needle on mood symptoms in people who are deficient. Sunflower seeds are simply one practical, food-based way to increase magnesium intake. Sunflower seeds contain meaningful amounts of tryptophan relative to other seeds and nuts. The body converts tryptophan to serotonin through a multi-step pathway that also requires adequate B vitamins, several of which, including folate and B6, are also present in sunflower seeds. So the seed isn't providing a single mood compound. It's supplying several of the raw materials a normal serotonin synthesis pathway depends on. The sunflower seed affects 3 different systems because it isn't one active compound. It's a bundle of several, each with its own separate biological target. Phytosterols compete with cholesterol in the gut. Vitamin E and linoleic acid protect and reinforce the skin barrier. Magnesium and tryptophan support neurotransmitter production in the brain. Uses 3 practical steps. First, if you're targeting cholesterol, unsalted raw or dry roasted sunflower seeds, around a quarter cup a day, is a reasonable food-based way to add phytosterols and linoleic acid to your diet. Second, for skin, cold-pressed, unrefined sunflower oil retains the most vitamin E, check the label, since refined oils lose much of it in processing. Third, if you suspect a magnesium gap, sunflower seeds are one option among several magnesium-rich foods. But persistent low mood deserves an actual conversation with a doctor, not a seed alone. Medical disclaimer: this isn't medical advice, and sunflower seeds aren't a replacement for treatment of diagnosed heart disease, skin conditions, or depression. They're a well-documented, low-cost nutritional tool. Use them as one part of a broader approach, not the whole plan. If this kind of plant-by-plant breakdown is useful to you, consider subscribing. We publish a new one regularly.